everyone. Welcome back to Your Body, Your Clues. I'm Ahlam. I'm super excited for you all to be here with us. I think this is our first episode of the New Year's. So
Yes, Happy New Year's 2026.
Yeah, I hope it gets better.
Yes.
But today we have an exciting episode. I think this is like one of those, like, it actually screams our name. I think one of the first clues your body gives you is with allergies and intolerances. So today's episode is going to be about food intolerances and food allergies. I have a question. I feel like I'm 27, and back in my day, which is not that far away, I feel like people didn't have that much food intolerances and allergies. We just had the 1-2 kid in class with peanut allergy, and that was it. But now everyone I know has a food sensitivity, a food intolerance, some type of allergy that just pops up. So what is that about, Dr. Halden?
Really important topic, because you're right. It feels like every other person you talk to has some sort of an intolerance, allergy, sensitivity. And those are actually totally different things. So we're going to get into that. But in terms of numbers, right? Like 1 in 3 kids has some kind of an allergy, right? According to the CDC. About 30% of adults have one form or another of an allergy, sensitivity, or intolerance. So you're not incorrect in thinking it just feels like everybody that you meet, or maybe every other person that you meet, has an issue related to an allergy or an intolerance or sensitivity. Why is that, right? So I mean, you and I talk about this all the time. All roads lead to gut. We don't talk about enough about gut health, right? And the reason why we're seeing such an uprise of all these intolerances, allergies, and sensitivities is over time, what we're eating has changed. Environmentally, what we're being exposed to has changed. The amount of medications, antibiotics that we're taking has changed. So it is not a coincidence that all these things are happening, because literally how we're living has changed. So the numbers are backing you that yes, this is absolutely correct, that we have more people who have now either an allergy, a sensitivity, or an allergy, sensitivity, or intolerance.
I was speaking to my grandma. My grandma was so shocked because she, like any Somali grandma, my grandma has anywhere from a grandkid from 30 to like a newborn. And she was like, this is insane. All her grandkids for the past 5 years are allergic to milk, and she doesn't understand what's going on. But my question to you is, can we break down like the difference between a food allergy, an insensitivity, and an intolerance?
Perfect. And that's where I was going, right? So an allergy is when your body is reacting to a stimulus from the outside, and it starts to attack, right? So, and what is expressed is what's called IgE, right? So it's immune globulin response, like a peanut allergy. That could be very, very serious, right? You could stop breathing because your throat gets swollen. So that is an allergy. Intolerance and sensitivity is the other 2 words that we often hear, and people are quite confused, okay? An intolerance is like someone who's sensitive to lactose. So they drink a food and their body reacts. It's called the IgG response. And then there is sensitivity. Sensitivity means you've been exposed and your body's kind of like not sure what to do with it. And it's interesting because sensitivities are now cross-playing. And what I mean by that is, like say pollen allergies, right? You may see someone who develops pollen allergy, and why they develop that, again, all leads back to environmental, gut, all of that. May all of a sudden become sensitive to or being bothered by eating apples or pears, because they're kind of correlated, right? So it is not as simple, and many people are not understanding that the severity is different. So everybody calls it, I'm allergic to this and I'm allergic to that. It's not a true allergy. It could be just an intolerance. Your body just doesn't know how to digest it, because again, your gut microbiome, your gut viability is not completely intact. So it's really interesting because I'll have patients come in and say, well, I am in my 40s now and I never had, any issues with X food. And now all of a sudden I am, like when I eat it, I feel this, that, or the other, or I break out and all. And it's really like a culmination of, like I said, what our gut's not doing, what environmentally we are exposed, and what we are eating. The amount of processed foods that we're ingesting and what's in that processed food, we're not often thinking about, and how that translates into all these symptoms that we're talking about. So definitely it's on the tick. Definitely it is, it's a spectrum. One being serious allergy to intolerance and sensitivity. The sensitivity is the lowest, allergy being the highest threat.
If someone's, like, for example, if someone notices that they're intolerant or they've been told they're intolerant to gluten, for example, or sensitive to gluten, is it best for them to stop or like remove it, or should they like act like everything's normal? Because I see both spectrums where you meet someone who's like lactose intolerant, for example, who eats, drinks milk all the time, or cheese, and then there's people who are very cautious. Like, what's the best way to go about it?
So this is the thing. Again, your body's your clues, right? Your body does not fail you. It's just we're not listening. So if you eat something and it's not sitting right, you need to take note of that, right? And then note if the same thing happens the next time that you eat it. If you develop symptoms, then definitely you need to note those symptoms. And so then you remove that offending agent, right? If there are things that you eat, like a peanut or shell fish or whatever, because those, many people are now becoming anaphylactic to those, meaning like crisis mode, right? Then you definitely need to go get tested. Because then your body has really been compromised from an immune perspective that it's reacting to those things that you're eating. So from that perspective, you need to get tested. For the gluten, many people now, and it's interesting because we didn't have this many gluten sensitivities over the past. But again, it's how the gluten is being made, what is being put on, right? So understand what your body's telling you and figure out how to respond to that by eliminating that food. If you feel better, then remove it, because that's not going to change, right? It's not going to change. If you have gluten sensitivity and you realize it is a gluten sensitivity, you just got to stop it. Like, there's no medication that you can take that is going to alleviate that, right? But again, also nourishing your gut, we're going to talk about gut in a very specific way, will help alleviate developing a lot of these allergies and sensitivities.
Yeah, I think it's an old mother's tale. I think my mother actually believes this. That if you're sensitive to something, you keep eating it, like you get better, but it's not true. I think it harms your gut more. Let's say if you're very sensitive, is that true? If you're very sensitive to something, you constantly give it
100%, because you're irritating, right? And like, it's like a wound. If you keep on putting alcohol in it, what happens, right? Like, it gets aggravated and all that. But I mean, again, immune system is very interesting because, again, if your gut is compromised, 70 to 80% of your body's immune comes from your gut. So if the gut is compromised, then therefore you're already there, right? So if you keep aggravating, then it's going to develop all these proteins and enzymes that make you feel the pain that you're feeling, and overall increase your sensitivities to other things as well.
Yeah. Before we dive into the connection between gut health and food sensitivities, there's like you said get tested. And so there's a lot of tests online that people can take with food sensitivities. What tests can they ask their doctors, for example, for food intolerances or food sensitivities?
So very interesting question, and very good question, right? Because again, people are being bombarded with all these options. If you develop an allergy to a food or a substance where it actually threatens your life, then you need to see an allergist and get tested, because that is gold standard, right? If it is sensitivity and all these other sort of testing, there's many tests that that you can get done that are more expensive, especially on the food spectrum. So I always order the ALCAT test. It has nearly 250 plus, food testing for sensitivity and intolerance. And it'll give you on a spectrum. It also gives you like if it's a severe reaction, if it's moderate reaction, if it's mild reaction. So that is an option. But again, this is the thing, like not everything is an allergy, right? So again, and not everything is standard to everybody. So Ahlam may be sensitive to gluten and lactose intolerant, right? But she may be able to tolerate the gluten a little bit and get away with a little bit here and there, versus someone who at the minute that they touch any type of gluten, because again it's a spectrum sometimes, right? Like, so we don't all react. But again, because Ahlam's gut and Hodan's gut is not the same. So we're not going to truly respond the same to everything that we are tested, or it's everything that we are sensitive to.
And the test you said, I took it, and I also took like the sensitivity test that I'm referencing that everyone takes online. That sensitivity test that I took, it didn't tell me how allergic or intolerant I was to. It just told me things I already knew. I was surprised by something, but like gluten, for example.
They're just adding symptoms. Where the ALCAT test is actually looking, they are hard testing your immune cells against the actual offending agent.
And I was able to tell I was very like sensitive to gluten, like almost borderline allergic. So it's like I think it's better to do your research and also talk to your medical providers, because I think they know best.
Absolutely. And that's the other thing too, is again, there's a lot of influencers, a lot of people promoting XYZ, and it has created all this confusion, right? Like, and again, talking to a medical provider, someone who's licensed or working with a licensed clinician, because there is, responsibility and accountability with licensing.
We spoke about people with a lot of food sensitivities also having like borderline like gut issues. For example, I know people who have SIBO, for example, or like any like H. pylori. A lot of them have a lot of like you talk to them, they have a wide range of food intolerances. Is that because their gut has been like compromised to that degree? And that's why all these like intolerances are coming up?
So what happens when you have gut imbalance, gut dysbiosis, leaky gut, I'm sure you heard, right? So basically your gut over time, obviously if you're not eating well, you're eating processed foods, you're taking antibiotics, you're exposed to all kinds of stuff. Over time, the gut it has a lining, and that lining starts to degrade. Not only does it have lining, it also has microbiomes, trillions of microbiomes, right? Bacteria that is helping with digestion, protecting, making sure your gut lining has, good integrity, all of that. So as we are, self-harming with how we're living and eating, to be honest, it's self-harming. People don't realize that, right? Over time, your gut starts to have pores, like starts to leak. And that content from the gut, when it leaks into the bloodstream, it starts to create an immune response. And that's what you see people having these sensitivities, all the, whether it's food sensitivity, whether it's eczema, whether it's attention deficit, all these things really are interlinked to a gut that is not doing well. So sensitivities and poor gut health are almost one-to-one.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Because I think like eczema is something you also talked about and stuff like that, but you hear so much people who have to cut out so much foods. So should step one be to like focus on healing their gut instead of like, or maybe step one is removing the foods that like listening to your body, your clues. What is step two, and like how can they like work on it if someone is like just woke up one day and they just have so much intolerances?
So this is the thing, like we don't just wake up one night and you're boom, you have all these things. It is we work up to it, right? So I always tell people, hang on to your health while you can. If you're healthy and you're like getting through stuff and everything is good, hang on to that. Because once you get to the point where you're symptomatic, there's already like damage that has occurred. You need to not only remove what you're doing, but you need to work on fixing and repairing, right? So that is one thing. So let's say, you're symptomatic, you have, these different types of allergies. Again, realize what those things are. Document them, figure out, get tested if it's severe things that you're struggling with. If it's things where they're bothering you and they're not threatening you, right? Then you need to kind of like pull back with your diet, pull back with what you're doing in your environment, because it's not just food too. It's what you're drinking, it's what you're putting on your skin, it's what we're showering with, it's the deodorant that you're like. All of this adds up, by the way, right? That's why we need to be very cautious. Like, we live in a very hyper-industrialized world where everything just has become overly produced, and overproduction brings, chemicals being used with everything to make it widely available to everybody. So for that purpose, you need to just kind of take stock of what you're eating and figure out, again, what you need to remove. And then if that's not working, then definitely you need to reach out to a medical provider, because then you need to get tested. Then we need to figure out what's going on with, and it's not just the gut. We need to, do regular labs, see what's happening with the inflammatory markers. Are there other things in play, right? Once that is ruled out, then we hone in on the gut, like see what's going on, and then figure out, through testing, what we need to remove, and simplify your diet. Many of the things that we notice is really the lactose, this gluten, the gluten stuff, sugar. People are not realizing sugar puts people at a very high risk for a lot of these illnesses, right? So processed things, right? If you have any medical issues and you're eating processed food, right? Like that, you're asking for problems.
I also think, like, we talked about this before in prior episodes, and I noticed this. Most people are so comfortable ignoring the clues their bodies are giving them, because I meet people who are very, they have I'm eating gluten free, so they're like, oh my God, like I'm also supposed to eat gluten free, but I don't care. But it's like, oh, what symptoms do you have? I bloat, I can't sleep at night, I have like heartburn, all these insane things, and you're still ignoring it and eating whatever or doing whatever just because you really just want this cake. Like, that's.
But this is it, right? Like, so I think some folks become climatized to the pain, and some of us have different threshold in terms of uncomfortable or painful stimuli, right? And some of us just want to do what everybody else is doing, and sometimes discipline comes into place, right? I'm like you. Anything bothers me that I feel like I take note, and I try to not do that. Once in a while I may slip. Nobody's perfect, but on the whole, what people, when they do that, they don't realize is you keep compounding the problem, and you'll get to, like, I have patients now who drinking water bothers them. Do you know what I mean? And that takes a lot of work to come back from. So when the symptoms are early, it's good to catch it then. When you get to the point where anything that you ingest becomes a problem, whether it's an allergic response or whether it's just the pain of, putting it in your stomach, or the bloating or the constipation or whatever, then it's harder to come back from. And that's what I'm trying to people, like, prevention is always the best medicine. Right? 100%. Playing hardball with your health, you're going to lose.
It's not fun.
It's not fun.
I'm not going to be a hypocrite. Can I tell you when the last time I had gluten? The day after my first Umrah, I came back, and it was the worst idea ever. I completed Umrah, and I really, I'm not promoting this, okay? I eat zabiha in America. The best chicken wrap I ever had in my life was from Burger King. I had it last year. I've been craving that Burger King chicken wrap all year round.
So and you did it in Saudi. Because it's halal.
I walk into the clock tower. I go into Burger King. They don't have a chicken wrap, but KFC did. I got it. I ate it, and the next day, it was Friday, subhanAllah. I was at the haram fighting for my life. My stomach was bloated.
Goodness.
In the bathroom at the haram, it's very scary. I love God's house, but Lord, those bathrooms are scary. And because I compromised my own stomach, I was taking a lot of time there. But I literally couldn't even walk, and like my family was like, "Are you okay?" Every time I drank something, I was running to the bathroom. And I was like, oh, I don't know, I did it. But in Saudi, when I have gluten, I have my sensitivity. Like, I am 100%. It's like America. In Europe and Holland, I can eat whatever. I'm okay.
Turkey, but you know why? because how their food is made, raised, farmed.
Yeah. It's so much cleaner.
So much cleaner.
It's fresh as well. Everything's very fresh. Everything's UK, no. That's why when people talk mess about America, I test it with my body. United Kingdom, you have the same food system as me because I get sick with your food. Same with Saudi. I don't know where Saudi is getting their food from, but I can't have the gluten there.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Can people reverse their food sensitivities? Like if I, for example, me, I have a gluten sensitivity or like dairy and all these things, can it be reversed?
Probably not. If you have the sensitivity that you have, right? So already your body has developed this robust response to you eating that, right? But when it's like, other sensitivities, if you work on, gut microbiome, fiber, strengthening your gut, that kind of stuff, over time, it does really go away and you're not bothered by it. But if it's a true allergy, true sensitivity, like yours, it's hard to come back from.
That makes sense. But like for everyday people who like maybe like they have a little bit of symptoms and they have dairy, if they work on their gut health and stuff like that, it can go away. Yeah, that's good. That's helpful.
Yeah, because in the end, like I said, it's not an allergic reaction. Right? Sensitivity you can prime. Enough exposure, it might just kind of settle down. Right? But if you are like the type where, again, you're breaking out, your stomach is in knots, you're, chronically going to the bathroom,
Yeah. The scary thing about my gluten now, I shut down. I can't drive sometimes. I have to pull over because I fall asleep.
Because, again, gut-brain health is so important that we're not talking about it, right? Because what happens, your body goes into overdrive, releases all these toxins, all these kind of... immune response and overwhelms your nervous system, your brain. Then you end up being fatigued, tired, wanting to sleep, all those things.
If rice as well. Sometimes with rice, that's why I think I'm forced to follow the anti-inflammatory diet. Like I wish it's a nice thing, but I'm forced to because if I eat like a Somali person, I'm falling asleep. I can't be productive.
Yeah, with rice and starches. So and this is backed by evidence. And try this: cook it and leave it overnight. What it does is it really makes the starch like harder to break down. It makes it resistant, right? So it may not hit you so fast that it puts you in a glucose coma, right? Sugar coma. So try that.
I'll try that. I need that.
Yeah, that's what I do with like potatoes and rice and pasta, right? I make it in a batch. I put it overnight and then heat it up, put your stuff that you want to put on it, and it doesn't hit you as hard.
Another thing that I learned was how you eat your food. So if your plate, if you start off with the veggies, the protein, then the carbs to finish it, it definitely helps with the glucose spikes, but also how you feel.
100%. Start with the protein.
Yeah. Ooh, start with the protein.
Start with the protein.
Okay.
Because protein is hard to digest right away. And what it does is actually fills you.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? So then you do your good like veggies, good fiber and stuff like that. And then you do the other carbs in the end. And then by the time you get to it, you're not going to eat as much.
Yeah.
But have you noticed, interestingly, like we're always starting, and I think maybe being Somalis, like that's our thing, that our main dish is the carb and then the hilib or the chicken or whatever, right? And even when you go to like restaurants, what do they give you first? The bread and the this, right? It is really to jack up your sugar.
Yeah.
And, like fill you up on that. And then when you actually get the small little bit of whatever, you're already high on sugar.
Also, I don't know if this is Gen Z thing, but everyone I know always says they need a sweet treat after they eat. But I think when you finish your meal with a carb, you're already saturated enough because like you ended kind of with a sweet thing at the end. Yeah. And so it's But
the other thing too is I think we come from for some reason with food we're kind of like I don't want to say starvation mentality. Like it's almost like you're missing out on something, right? Like you see the cake, whatever, or you just finish your plate of meal with all the other stuff. You can do without but somehow we feel like we're missing out if we don't actually finish with a dessert. It's a mindset.
I'm so depressed. Like November, I was very depressed because I was on a strict diet, like a strict anti-inflammatory protocol. I was very depressed. I can't even lie. It was so funny.
But is that mentally depressed?
It's a mentally thing.
Yeah.
Where it's
because you're not missing anything nutritionally.
No, everything is like best period, everything was aligned.
Yeah.
But because in my head, when things are not going well, I think it's because Muslims, we don't have drugs, okay? We can't drink. So because I can't go like for...
Can't smoke, you can't
Yeah,
drink,
so now I can't have my little ice cream.
Yeah.
What? I'm pissed.
Yeah.
I'm throwing a fit. So I get it, but I think it takes a while. Like you just have to...
But I think we made sugary treats like this sort of a reward.
Yeah.
It's not a reward. You feel like crap after you eat it.
100%. Wait, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
You can ask Havidi, my roommate. My problem is popcorn.
Oh,
So
not bad.
No, because you understand. One day, the day before my period, she came over and there was 4 bags of different popcorn, and
then that's a problem.
I was doing a taste test.
A taste.
And I was so happy. But I could finish a bag of popcorn, like a kettle corn, like a little sweet, salty ones. That's the only thing I can go with. If you just let me have my popcorn, I'm a happy girl at the end of the night. Popcorn, that's it, and ice cream. So
Okay. We'll talk about that.
yeah, that's the only thing. But I haven't had it in a while. This week I haven't had it.
Listen,
this
you
week.
can treat yourself like here and there. And I use that word. I don't like that word because it sounds like you're deprived when you're not having those things. And I think it's a mindset. And I don't know how do we pivot that? Because if you see something inherently as like this lifts you, this is like, you know, like a congratulatory sort of intervention, then it's like every time you're...
I think it's diet culture. Like even like with my program, we learn a lot about. As a future dietitian, I think for me, I hate diet culture because people always feel like very like stagnant because they get put on a diet and they're like very sad because they're told to remove everything they're eating. But if you feel like you're eating everything at balance, so let's say you go out to eat with your friends, you can just have a slice of the cake, like just
you don't need to eat the whole thing.
You don't need to eat the whole thing, and then you could just be like, I'm saturated. People don't even understand hunger cues. They don't understand when they're full. Every day is craving. But I also think because we're so the stress. I think genuinely everyone in this country is just like so stressed, and they use food as pleasure and to help them instead of taking it out on boxing, for example.
It's a drug. Yeah. Like really, food has become self-soothing, sort of. Is used as a prescription.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the problem. It's people's friend, right?
Yes.
Like food is a friend to people.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where the problem is. And it's almost like a reward system. Anything you do something, it's like, oh, I did whatever. You got a promotion. Where you're gonna go? Let's go eat.
Yeah.
Like you eat every day. I don't think that should be a treat, right? Go buy yourself, you know, a massage and a facial, right? Like to relax and to help you. You know what I mean? Like I think we need to redefine what pleasure is. Number one, right?
Yeah.
Because the brain is always seeking for pleasure, and it's that hit that you get, and you know, after you eat your cake, your serotonin level and dopamine levels go up and all that stuff, right? So
it's an epidemic because I think people just go out to eat. No, even hobbies. Like most people don't have hobbies. People don't go out to like, events, comedy clubs, nothing. It's just like, let's go out to eat. Let's go out to eat. Yeah. So it's like, the other thing I want to talk about is I feel like there's a rise of environmental allergies, specifically with celebrities. I feel like the only time I hear about what's that thing that every celebrity has that people think it's fake? Justin Bieber has it. It's that disease. Starts with Lyme disease.
Oh.
Like everyone thinks it's fake. I have an autoimmune condition, so I will never tell someone it's not fake.
Lyme disease is not fake.
Yeah.
It's real.
People always make fun of celebrities because celebrities always come out and say they have Lyme disease.
Yeah.
But Lyme disease, and I saw a lot of like celebrity guests and people I listen to actually coming out with mold issues and stuff like that. And like, so environmental allergies are on a rise.
Actually, mold is big.
Yeah.
Lead is big.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're not talking about many of these things, but environmental toxins are huge. And I do a panel on, actually I just had a patient the other day that I did a whole full panel of environmental toxins, and places that we're working, especially people who work in, you know, like truck driving, warehouses, you know, any like large industrial scale things, old homes, right? Lead is very big, you know, especially in pediatric populations. We're always testing to see, we're seeing a lot of developmental delays, and that correlates, right? So environmental toxins are really one of the big things that are driving the sensitivities, the allergies, the intolerance.
Another thing I would say is I did a lead campaign, and I found out through research a lot of halal stores or like immigrant stores and stuff like that, the candies that they have, it's important to check it because they when they tested it, they had a high lead, and a lot of these kids have it because it's halal and stuff. And so support the halals, especially now, but like just be cautious.
No, absolutely. And I think also comes with responsibility too, right? Like our you know, business community needs to understand that like our communities also need to, you know, be served things that are safe.
Yeah.
Right. So we should always be able to talk about those things. But across the board, these environmentally, that's why I said, industrialization has become really a problem, because we're not eating anything organic. Like that just comes from naturally from the ground, right? You're not eating your beef that just came from, you're eating beef that came from so many.
Australia, if you eat halal in America.
Exactly, right? So again, the more local you eat, the more healthier you are.
Yeah.
But again, socioeconomics plays a big role in terms of environmental toxins. So, in certain parts of America, it's, the socioeconomic situations puts many people in environments that are extremely toxic.
Yeah.
Right? So these are the realities that people are living in. And, we talk about a lot brain fog and all those things. It's because environmentally we are ingesting things that are immune, depleting. From a mental health perspective, we're seeing a lot of issues as well. And I'm not saying that is, direct correlation. But again, industrialization has really brought a lot of health issues that we're not making immediate linkages. It's not, it's the research, first of all, is not there, but you can tell there's a reason why everything is sort of, like you talk about autism is a big thing, right? Mm-hmm. How much of that is a, an immune response to environmental stimuli, right? And people are always talking about the MMR. No, food, all those other things that we've been talking about, right? We know that kids that have sensitivities have, not only do they have allergies to foods, but they also have asthma, they also have eczema. So those are it's called triads, right? Allergic triad. And they usually happen together for those kids. So if you see a child who's got an asthma, it's almost that they have eczema, right? And some other food intolerance, right? It's a convergence. And we are seeing more often kids who in their first year of life have had antibiotics have higher rates, incidence of allergies, of those 3 allergies in particular.
Because your gut.
Because you're wiping out the gut microbiome in its most vulnerable state in the first year of life.
What can people do to control that and to help with I think when environmental allergies or toxins are discussed, people are just oh, I have no, I can't control where I work, I can't control where I live, let's say. But what are things people can change and can control?
So simple things. First of all, your house, right? Get air
purifier.
Yeah. Right. So that's may not be for everybody easy for everybody. I don't want to assume everybody can purchase it, but that is a starting point, right? Test your house for lead if it's an older home. It's really, really important, right? The food that you're buying, right? There are some control that we have over that. Whether it's just avoiding things are packaged or in a can or whatever, or buy organic if you can, right?
Farmers markets are actually more affordable too.
More affordable, right? So you just have to really, it's not easy living healthy and living well these days, because the convenience that we have gotten accustomed to puts us at a risk for just buying things because they're close. Not necessarily are we thinking about, are they really, is this good for my body? And more importantly, is it good for the kids who are growing up in this environment, right? So watching what you eat, where you're buying from, the purifier in the house, tests for lead, makeups that we're using, all these things that we are putting on our bodies, is that we don't talk about often.
Yeah. This is where I get triggered because, I know. Yeah. But I know there's, clean makeup. There's a lot of clean.
So look for clean makeup. Exactly.
Yeah. And, clean up products and stuff like that. Even with, my friends who are parents, like the stuff their kids, for example, this is when I realized some of my stuff were toxic. When my best friend got pregnant, she came over and she couldn't use my cleansers and stuff. And I was like, why? And so I started using the clean stuff that she was using for pregnancy or kids. Best thing ever. Like if your kids can use it and it's very clean, you should use it too.
No, and that's because the kids are very regulated, right? And there's been some issues in the past, but by and large, kids' products at a very,
or products pregnant women use as well.
Pregnant women as well, because again, because of the sensitivity in that period.
No, perfect. This was a fun episode on all things like, food intolerance and allergies.
Hopefully that was helpful to everybody. Really, it's interesting, to talk about these things because there's just so much information out there in terms of, and people are confused and kind of thinking, well, am I doing this? Am I not doing that? And then sometimes doing things that are harmful.
Yeah.
And I'm always saying, look at where the information is coming from.
Yeah. I see there's like so much like random pills that I see people taking to get rid of like their allergy. I'm like, that's not true.
No. And can I tell you, if anything is complicated in terms of whatever health issue you're dealing with, question it. Like, and if someone is telling you like, jump through all these hoops and, whatever, always ask like, what am I doing? First of all, are you meeting the basics? Number one, what is the basics? Trying to eat well, try to move as much you can, and sleep. We didn't talk about stress and the impact it has on food, not food in particular, but in terms of activating immune response, right? Because when you're not sleeping, your body, is producing cortisol, is under a lot of stress, therefore your immune is slow, right? Like, and then it puts you at more sensitivities to all these harmful things that we talked about.
Is it true? So, for example, like for me, when I took my test, it said
Clearly we like the topic because we're not leaving.
Yeah, I was like genetic, because I'm so biased. This is about me. But genetically, I have a gluten, I had a genetic, I tested positive for that, for example. So because
you carry the gene.
Yeah, for example, if I'm stressed and stuff like that, can that just come out like natural? Okay.
Yeah, it's a trigger.
Okay, got it.
Because stress really is we don't talk about it enough.
Okay. Yeah,
it has so much impact from like head to toe, literally from your mental health to your heart health to your gut health to all these allergies that we were talking about. Stress, and sleep.
I think it makes sense because I think although we're becoming so technological advanced, the things that we're able to accomplish now in 2026 is so insane, but the thing that we're struggling with is health. And the number one thing that everyday people you speak to are stressed. Everyone's stressed. Pregnant women are stressed. Everyone is stressed. So it makes sense why allergies and stuff are on a rise because our body's just reacting to it. But this was a nice long episode. I hope folks enjoyed it. I definitely learned a lot. So.
Yes, thank you for facilitating this as usual. I think hopefully you guys find it, beneficial and a little bit of entertaining.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.